Tributes are used to enhance the loot from the Kurast Undercity, while also making the timer a little bit tighter. But they're also pretty rare, even in the endgame. So today, I'm going to go over the different types of tributes that are available, talk about where to get them in a little more detail, then wrap things up with some of my experiences. Now, before getting into things, a couple of quick notes. Number one, there are magic tributes you can get during your leveling experience. These can reward you with magic runes and legendary items, but they do not appear in the endgame. And number two, to get tributes to drop, you need to have a Vessel of Hatred expansion, and you need to progress the campaign so that you can unlock access to the Kurast Undercity. So without further ado, let's get into things. Starting with the tribute that you're going to get a lot of, and I mean a lot of, which is Tribute of the Titan. It is found from defeating summoned lair bosses. In other words, if you beat tormented bosses, you get this pretty frequently. This rewards you with tormented boss materials, which allows you to fight more tormented bosses, which gives you more Tribute of the Titans, which lets you fight more tormented bosses, effectively leading to an infinite boss materials loop, whereby you have plenty of the materials to fight all the bosses, and you also have more of the Tribute of Titans than you know what to do with. Next up is the Tribute of Refinement. This awards you with masterworking materials, and it's found from Nightmare Dungeons and Infernal Hordes. If you're noticing a pattern here, generally speaking, the thing that gives you the tribute is the activity the reward is in some way associated with. So, you farm Nightmare Dungeons and Infernal Hordes to get masterworking materials, or more accurately, you get Abductite from those events. So, that's also where you're going to find the Tribute of Refinement. And based on personal experience, it is much more likely to drop if you're completing an Infernal Horde than if you're doing a random Nightmare Dungeon. Then you have the Tribute of Harmony. Now the location for this one is the nice clear, found randomly in Sanctuary, which could mean that it has a very small chance to drop from absolutely anywhere. And based on how all of the others work, I suspect anywhere that runes drop, you have a chance to get these. But for example, I don't personally remember getting any from Helltide chests, though if you have gotten one, please do comment about it down below. Let me know where you got it. Next, we have Tribute of Radiance and Tribute of Ascendance, and each of these have two versions, the Resolute and the United. Turns out, you get both Tribute of Radiance and Tribute of Ascendance from the same activities. But where you get it depends on if it's Resolute or United. For the Resolute version, they are found from Whisper caches. Now it says found rarely, I don't exactly know what that means, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was somewhere around a 10% chance. That's just going off of the number that I've gotten personally. The really rare ones though are the Tribute of Ascendance United, which is found rarely from world bosses, and the Tribute of Radiance United, which again is found from world bosses. These are very different because they reward all of the participating players rather than just the person who opened the instance. Normally, the person who opens the instance gets the reward, and everyone else is pretty much out of luck. It says this right at the top. Resolute tributes only reward the player who offers the tribute. United tributes reward all participating players. And so with that said, how do you go about farming tributes? Well, that's kind of a tricky question. Which tributes do you want to get? If you're looking for boss tributes, it's easy. Kill more bosses, and then you enter an infinite loop of going between the Undercity and the bosses to get more tributes and more boss materials. That actually works really, really well, and you can use it to target farm pretty much any unique you want, and if you're patient, you can even go after specific mythic uniques. On the other hand, while you can do all the world bosses, and while you can do the Tree of Whispers, in an attempt to get more tributes, it's certainly not going to be as reliable. You'll get them occasionally, but it feels a little bit disingenuous to say you can go out and farm them. And to be honest with you, I kind of feel the same, at least with the current drop rates, about the ones that come from Nightmare Dungeons and Infernal Hordes, along with ones that just drop randomly as you're going through the endgame. Now that said, this is early on in the Season of Hatred. It's entirely possible that in a future update, Blizzard will make this more common. I think the Kurast Undercity is a pretty cool addition to the endgame loop. I do actually think they can make the tributes a little bit more frequent, because even though they are very rewarding, it's not like they're that much more rewarding than something like a tormented boss. Now, in terms of my own personal experiences, I've played quite a bit more than the average person, and the end result of this is that I got a lot of rare tributes and very few of a legendary or unique. So, if you're playing casually, don't be surprised if you see them very infrequently. This also means that if you do get one of the rare tributes, you should be really sure that you're able to do the Kurast Undercity on its current difficulty so that you don't waste the reward potential. Especially since, for example, with the unique one, when it says it has an increased chance to drop mythic uniques, well, I don't have any statistical data here, but I'm pretty sure I've run it 3 times now, and I got a mythic unique once, so that certainly does seem promising. Though that said, with a sample size of 3, that means nothing at all. The odds could be 1 in 3. They could be 50%, or they could be 1 in 300, and I just got really, really lucky. Either way, after you get some tributes, you're going to want to know how to use them, run the Undercity, and maximize the value. And don't worry, I have a guide dedicated to just that. So those are the different tributes available, where to find them, and some of my experiences. If I find a super OP way to target from them, I will make an update in the future, so do be sure to get subscribed and ring that notification bell so you have the best chance of seeing any future uploads. And hey, while you're down there, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a like. Now, on the other hand, once you've collected a couple tributes, you're going to want to know how to use them. And so you should check out my guide to the Kurast Undercity to learn how to min-max it, what the bosses do, and a little bit more information about the timers and various events offered within. That video will be up in the card and down below. Personally, I think tributes and the Kurast Undercity is a pretty neat addition to the game. There are also bargains, but those aren't as interesting to me, especially because right now they seem to be mostly focused on controlling the affixes that appear on legendary items, and very often when you're running a tribute, you are overriding those legendary item drops, thus meaning the bargain doesn't actually do anything. So I'm hoping in the future that system gets refined just a little teeny bit more. But hey, with that said, I'm glad you found the video useful, thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.